Ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, on the channel, I like to dive into the story of Call of Duty. And we have done this year after year after year. And one thing that I've got asked more than anything else is, am I gonna dive into the story of zombies? And really, it comes down to what you guys want to see. So recently, as of yesterday, we got our gameplay reveal for Call of Duty Black Ops 6's Zombies. And with it, we got a bunch of information regarding the story behind it and the characters who are going to be in the game. So what I thought I would do is create a video going over all of those characters that are going to be in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies and their backstories. And to make it plain and simple, if you guys want to see more of this kind of thing, all you got to do to show me is hitting that like button. There is one character that we know of who is going to be in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 who I'm not gonna totally go in depth with their story because they have a huge story. You'll see that by the end of the video. But as I said, if you want to see more zombie story videos, all you got to do to show me is hitting that like button. It'll show me that you like this type of videos. But without further ado, what we're going to be doing today is diving into all of the characters' backstories who are going to be in and who are part of Raptor 1 and the main crew within Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies. Starting with my personal favorite, Grigori Weaver.
November 10th, 1936, Weaver was born in the USSR, aka Russia, just to make things easy. Now, as far as his early life, his backstory is actually pretty cool. His father was a local political figure who was killed during Stalin's Great Purge. Now, if you don't know what that is, I didn't either, I had to look it up, but basically what this was is a cleansing, as they called it, against ethnic minorities, the Communist Party, and of government officials and leadership in the Red Army. And because Weaver's father was a political figure, he was involved in that. Now, at the time, this massacre included 950,000 to 1.2 million people. This is something I didn't know about, but is entrenched in Weaver's backstory. Now, after the death of Weaver's father, him and his mother fled to the United States to seek refuge. Now, after getting to the United States and becoming a Russian American, we don't know much about this time period, but eventually Weaver joins the CIA, and that is where his story begins in Black Ops 1.
Now, this story begins in something called Operation Flashpoint, when Frank Woods and Alex Mason are sent in to save Grigori Weaver from one of Dragovich's compounds. However, before we are able to get in there, this happens.
Weaver, he's burnt.
Your colleague is unwilling to explain his presence in this facility.
Who the fuck is this?
Surrender now, and you will be allowed to leave.
It's Kravchenko, Dragovich's second in command.
This is your only warning.
There's nothing we can do, Mason. Weaver's done, but no.
Your choice.
This is not good.
So Grigori Weaver loses his eye to Lev Kravchenko, and throughout the rest of the campaign, we end up rescuing him, and he works alongside the CIA to help redeem Alex Mason's memory from being brainwashed by Lev Kravchenko, Dragovich, and all of the other guys. So essentially, through Black Ops 1, Grigori Weaver is working alongside Hudson and the CIA to do this, and by the very end, they do end up saving the day. So by the very end of that final mission of Black Ops 1, Grigori Weaver is the one to pull Alex Mason out of the water. And at this point, everything seems hunky-dory, right? Well, yes, that would be the case until the CIA turns on Alex Mason, Jason Hudson, and Grigori Weaver in something called Operation Cherry Beatus. You see, at this point, the CIA does not trust Alex Mason and what is inside of his head. And because of that, by association, they also don't trust Jason Hudson and Grigori Weaver. And in Operation Cherry Beatus, they're actually said to be wanted to be assassinated by the CIA. And this directly leads us into the events of Black Ops Cold War. Now, after the events of Black Ops 1 in the year 1979, the revolution in Iran was going on, and at this time, it was Weaver's job to help extract people out of the area. And it just so happened one of those people that was extracted by Grigori Weaver is Samantha Maxis. This will become important later on in the story. Now, fast forward to the year 1983. At this point, the CIA still doesn't really trust Weaver, and at the time, they are finding out about something called outbreak zones, and someone by the name of Eddie, or Edward Richtofen, is appointed the director of something of the name of Office of Requiem, and Eddie appoints a special advisor, none other than Grigori Weaver to be the leader of the Requiem team. And at this point, while he is working in the dark corners of the CIA, he is approached, or at least called, by Samantha Maxis, the one he rescued back in 1979.
What have you done?
Did you get the package?
We've lost 2 teams since you went dark. Old war footage is the last thing on my mind right now.
Watch it. Watch the tape. Then tell me I'm wrong.
Now, it is at this time that Samantha Maxis warns Weaver of something by the name of Project End Station. Essentially, a particle accelerator that was able to open rifts to the dark ether and causes them to be open around the world. And it is around this time where Grigori Weaver expands his team to add people known like Mackenzie Carver, Elizabeth Gray, and Oscar Strauss. So starting with Mackenzie Carver, he comes from a background of military service. His father actually served in World War II fighting for the Allies, and he proved himself in the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and specifically had a role in Operation Apache Snow. And at some point, Carver was able to rise to the rank of major. Now, after these conflicts, he was able to find some employment within the United States Department of Defense and eventually served as a liaison between the CIA and the Department of Defense, and was eventually brought in to Requiem in the year 1983. Then we have Elizabeth Gray. Not much is known about her early life. However, she worked in her laboratory in Bristol before, in the year 1983, she got drafted by the British government to serve as their representative as Requiem's head for unnatural sciences. Now, she ends up playing a much larger role in the zombies lore, and specifically modern warfare zombies, but that doesn't really come into play for Cold War or Black Ops 6's zombie story, but maybe we'll look at that one in the future. Then we move into Oscar Strauss. Now, his story is much more entrenched with the lore. First of all, he was one of the doctors specifically researching on Project End Station, and when he found out that this was specifically to create nuclear weapons for the Third Reich, he promptly requested for a reassignment, where he actually got transferred to Frederick Steiner's Nova 6 program. His work at End Station led to the Wunderwaffe development and other discoveries as well. When he found out what was going on here, he eventually transferred over and started working alongside Requiem. Now, the one thing I found frustrating about the Cold War zombies story is that all of these characters you are looking at here didn't actually go into the maps until later on. They sent in strike teams, and when they needed to extract those strike teams, that's where Raptor 1 came in, aka Stony Maddox. Now, he is going to come into play shortly, but for now, just know that he was essentially the helicopter driver. But again, we'll come back to him in a minute. This then brings us to our next doctor, Dr. William Peck, and seemingly one of the bad guys in the Black Ops Cold War story. This is when the entirety of the story of Black Ops Cold War Zombies starts to come together. And I'm not going to do this video as a whole story for the Black Ops Cold War Zombies, but I'll try to summarize it so you can know what happens with all of our characters moving into Black Ops 6. If you want to see a full story of this, once again, hit that like button. We can do more zombie stories on the channel. So let me make this incredibly beyond simple to understand. Dr. Peck was one of the doctors responsible for opening up Project End Station. However, our good guys, Requiem, goes in and blows up Project End Station. However, Dr. Peck moves on to Vietnam and opens up some more portals over there. Once again, Requiem alongside Revanov and Samantha Maxis go in, and they are able to stop Vietnam from happening as well. It is at this time where for some reason Kravchenko gets involved because they want to weaponize these Ethereum crystals. So this is when the Outbreak story begins. Now, all you need to know for this is that Requiem goes in, stops what they're doing with all of these Ethereum crystals and causing these basically Ethereum missiles that can make bombs. They shoot them in the Pacific Ocean, and by the very end, Raptor 1 alongside some of the Requiem soldiers end up getting shot down from the helicopter, and assumably Maddox dies. However, as we know, he didn't. Fast forward to Berlin. Another portal is open. A bunch of stuff goes down there, and somehow, once again, Kravchenko is involved. He actually has Raptor 1 held hostage and uses him as a way and leverage for Requiem to come in and stop what is going on in this location as well. So Requiem essentially makes a nuclear bomb and throws it into the dark ether, causing this portal to close. Requiem then gets Raptor 1 back, however, Kravchenko once again tries to stop them. Fortunately, Samantha Maxis is able to open an ether portal and save Requiem, and therefore saving Raptor 1. However, it is absolutely not over at this point, because this is where the Black Ops 6 part of the story starts to come into effect. Because at this point, the director of Requiem initiates something by the name of Project Janus, and all of the members of Requiem that we just talked about, Grigori Weaver, Strauss, Gray, Carver, and Raptor 1, all get arrested and carried off to some prison, some island in the middle of nowhere. This is where we find out about our last character. Our last character known as Edward Richtofen, aka the director of Requiem. Now, just to be clear, Edward Richtofen has a much longer backstory that I couldn't cover in this video. And again, if you want to see more of these stories, be sure to hit that like button. And maybe we can do probably like a 45-minute long video on exactly how in-depth Eddie's backstory truly is. But for now, he is the one that caused this arrest and sends him off to that island. But fortunately for us, there's a twist, because Dr. Peck's work was completely stolen by Edward Richtofen, and luckily for Requiem, Peck has other plans.
Irasai. I need to rent a boat. Where do you need to go? Here. Are you sure? There is nothing there. What is it you are looking for?
Looking for some old friends.
Unfortunately for us, we know that that story will continue with Black Ops 6, and that is where our story kicks off, with all of the members of Requiem being held hostage on Terminus Island. Peck then shows up with someone new, someone and our last character by the name of Maya Aguinaldo. We do not know much about this character other than the fact that she is looking for her brother. She is there to save her brother and working alongside Peck. However, there is one goal, and one goal alone for Requiem and for Peck. These characters should not be working together because Peck is a bad character. He was the one opening all of the portals, but they all have one thing in common: a hatred for Edward Richtofen. So what happens next, we don't know, but now you know all of the characters' backstories. So if you enjoyed the video, you found it informative, be sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more zombies videos, do more of the same. If you like what you see here, want to see more story videos, subscribe, notifications, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're made